Afonso V occupied the Portuguese throne for almost 43 years, far longer than any other monarch of the House of Afis, apart from João I. Yet the internal history of Portugal during this period has been widely neglected. This is unfortunate, for the reign represents an important phase in the transition from late medieval to modern times. Afonso himself was a man of complex and intriguing personality. Deprived of paternal guidance at a very young age, he was brought up at a court riddled with rivalry and intrigue. Under the regent Pedro's direction, he nevertheless received a humanist education, probably from Italian tutors. He acquired a love of books and music, and was the first Portuguese king to form a royal library. Yet the values manifested in both his public policies and private behavior during his long reign, his fascination with crusading, his fawning over the higher clergy, his assiduous pondering to the landed nobility and their feudal privileges, his ambition to become emperor of all the Spains, and his desperate but thwarted determination toward the end of his life to be a hermit in the Holy Land, seems stubbornly medieval in a world that was inexorably modernizing. During Afonso's reign, royal lands, offices, pension, and other benefits were transferred from the crown to the nobility more liberally than at any other time since the early years of João I. Noble power increased correspondingly, though it was power heavily concentrated in the hands of just a few great magnates. The leading beneficiaries were Prince Henrique and successive Dukes of Braganza. But Henrique died childless in 1460, and from then on, the House of Braganza was by far the richest and most powerful in Portugal, exceeded only by that of the king himself. Successive Dukes of Braganza were also the acknowledged champions of noble rights. Other great magnates likewise prospered. The extent of their success demonstrated most obviously in the rapid proliferation of illustrious titles. The designation Marquis, Baron, and Viscount were introduced for the first time during this period, added to the existing titles of Duke and Count. Fernando, the king's younger brother, was made Duke of Beja in 1453. The Duke of Braganza's oldest sons became Duke of Guimarães, and his other two sons Marquis of Montemor Onovo and Count of Faro respectively. There were two other marquises, 9 new counts, making a total of 25, compared with only 6 at the death of Duarte, the Baron of Alvito and 1 Viscount. So depleted had become the royal estate by the time Afonso V died in 1481 that his successor, João II, complained that he had been left only the king's highways. Under Afonso V, the policy of avoiding dynastic entanglements with Castile was gradually abandoned. The first breach occurred in 1447 when a daughter of Prince João married Juan II of Castile. This was followed in 1455 by the marriage of Afonso V's younger sister to the weak and vacillating Castilian king Enrique IV. This was a more faithful union, for it produced a daughter, Juana. Shortly before his death in 1474, Enrique bequeathed his kingdom to Juana and called on Afonso V, who was by then a widower, to marry her and assume the government of Castile. However, Juana's succession was disputed by Enrique's sister Isabel, who had married Fernando of Aragon, which couple later became famous as the Catholic kings. Their supporters declared Juana was the daughter not of Enrique, but of one Beltran de la Cueva, a Castilian nobleman, and that Isabel was therefore the rightful queen of Castile. Why the aging Afonso then threw a caution to the winds and invaded Castile as Juana champion is somewhat puzzling, especially given the bitter lesson of the earlier Castilian wars. Perhaps he was simply convinced of the justice of his niece's cause, moved by family honor and persuaded by Castilian exiles. Be that as it may, in May 1475, he entered Castile at the head of a small army and proceeded to Palencia. There he went through a marriage ceremony with Juana, having meanwhile applied for a papal dispensation. However, it soon became clear that the vast majority of Castilians did not want a Portuguese king. The Castilian nobility preferred Isabel, while her husband Fernando proved a particularly resourceful opponent. The decisive battle was fought at Toro in 1476, a confused encounter which ended with the Portuguese withdrawing and Isabel forces claiming victory. Crucially, Afonso had lost face. He made a desperate but forlorn attempt to engage the support of Louis XI of France, who was known to be concerned about the union of Castile and Aragon. When this failed, and no dispensation was forthcoming from the papacy, Alfonso could do little more for Juana's cause. Frustrated and disillusioned, he was forced to negotiate, and in 1479 signed a treaty with the Catholic kings at Alcazovas. Under its term, he renounced all claims to the Castilian throne and recognized Isabel, while the luckless Juana was sent to a nunnery. There were no more attempts to reunite Portugal and Castile under a Portuguese monarch by military force. Alfonso V died in 1481 and was succeeded by his son Joao II.